Max Kaiser selling Bitcoin now for fiat debt coupons is a crime. Welcome back to CryptoWealthy channel, guys. I hope you are well, and I want to thank each last one of you for subscribing at this channel. I'm talking about all of these subscribers, 252 that subscribed on this channel to watch our technical analysis, news, and everything about crypto. I'm very grateful to that. And now we're going to discuss in this video about Bitcoin price. How could we actually reach $8,000? But we are still not out of the woods yet. I repeat, we are having a very good and interesting bullish development on the chart over here, but we are still not out of the woods yet. And let's see, what do we actually need to reach $8,000 and what could go wrong on the way to the upside. This is very important to know and understand if you are trading this market, or even better, investing for a long-term period. Also, we're going to read the news that I just mentioned, just that news that will give us a little bit excitement in the Bitcoin and crypto space in general, because the good times are ahead of us. And now let's jump right into it. So first, we're going to cover the news. Max Kaiser selling Bitcoin now for fiat debt coupons is a crime, which is totally correct, and let's see why. Bitcoin will be the only exit from the global reset of finance, which will allow central banks to even destroy the banking system itself. Totally true. Dixon, world's largest regulated Ponzi scheme, is dying. Discussing the global coronavirus epidemic and its impact on global finance, Dixon warned that the health aspect of the crisis was by no means its worst. I don't want to be dramatic, but this is a global reset in the financial system, he told host Max Kaiser. I do think that this is actually end of finance system as we know it, as it was before. Coming after, he said, was a massive scrambling for power by governments and central banks. Taxpayers and those forced to rely on fiat money will pay the price. Unfortunately, that's the truth because of the inflation that we have, and the problem with all of that, imagine that you are receiving the same amount of money every single month and every single year, and the inflation is actually eating that up. So this actually means that you are few days or few hours in the week working actually just to cover the inflation that the government will take with just printing the trillions of dollars that we had. Dixon continued, I think we're going to see a real attack from central banks on traditional banks as we inevitably experience the enormous consequences of essentially the world's largest regulated Ponzi scheme. Of course, we all know that the fiat money is one big Ponzi scheme. People do not realize how much they are losing just with the inflation and how much that is bad for their pocket and for their wealth. After coronavirus, a horrible worse version of fiat currency. I have moral responsibility to keep my 2011 BTC HODLed, he tweeted over the weekend. To legitimize any fiat debt coupons in any way now, when we are on the edge of victory, would be a crime against humanity. The theory argues that central lending institutions will allow banks to die and instead allow citizens to open digital currency accounts directly with them. As a result, control of money, and hence people who are forced to use it, will become so easy that the world will enter what Kaiser describes as neo-feudalism. The birth of this dire state of affairs will be helped by coronavirus. Banning cash because of concerns over infection is one such example. You're going to end up with a very, very horrible worse version of fiat currency to the one we have now, created by banks as debt, Dixon continued. As Cointelegraph reported, Kaiser as well is no stranger to warning consumers about the unavoidable collapse to fiat hand money. This is very interesting approach to the fiat money, explaining what Bitcoin could actually do. And if you didn't read the Bitcoin Standard, I highly recommend it to read Bitcoin Standard book, which is explaining the money as a whole, and you will actually see, especially if you are a little bit younger, you will see how the money is working. It's very good for you to learn that while you are still young, because big years are ahead of us and ahead of you, of course, especially if you are 18 18, 19, 20 years old, which will give you a lot of space to grow your wealth and to be rich in the future. Yes, I said rich because once you learn the game of money, you will have enough space and enough time to actually earn it and to reach the financial freedom. And now let's jump into some very sweet news on the technical analysis, because I do think that Bitcoin has reached good bullish potential over here. But let's see, what do we need to actually hold this level and continue on the way to the upside, because there are some facts that are giving me worried, and I was bearish in the previous days, of course, and there are multiple reasons for that. First, I'm going to tell you that we are still not out of the coronavirus crisis, which means that the financial system is still collapsing. The big worries for the Bitcoin price here that is giving me is the S&P 500. S&P 500 is still, or Bitcoin, let's say, is still highly correlated with the Bitcoin, or with each other, let's say like that, and that's the big problem. I thought that we could potentially detached in the previous days or so, but if we switch on the S&P 500, we can see, unfortunately, the S&P 500 is growing also for about 22% reversal we have in the past few weeks, actually 2 weeks approximately. And if we switch on the Bitcoin, we can see the same thing, and as we can see, this is just the first step of the fall for the S&P 500 or for the whole stock market. The big problem is we don't see the bottoming out on the chart. This is not bottoming out formation. This is not bottom for me. This V-shape should and could not be the bottom for the S&P 500, which means the same thing for the Bitcoin. This is the reason why am I actually too afraid to buy Bitcoin right now for a trade. Of course, I'm buying like for a whole position, but I'm not buying to trade it, because this could go wrong very, very easily. Now, the big resistances are over here, actually $8,000, and also we can see this $7,400 where we have been declined right now. We did have some sort of a week above it, but we have been declined. Also, this rising wedge formation is still coming to an end over here, and we need to see Bitcoin decide where the Bitcoin will actually go, where the price will move. I really hope that we will, of course, go on the way to the upside, but I don't know how strong that rally will be. If we bring the 20 exponential moving average on daily chart, we can see that we are still above it, on some sort of a healthy way above it, and we can see if we bring other moving averages on daily chart that the 50 is right now giving us pretty good resistance together with the $7,400. This level, $7,400, together with other moving averages gave us pretty good resistances and supports over here, and this is the reason why I'm observing this level pretty much. Also over here you can see the pretty good volume, trading volume on between $7,400 and $8,000, and also we have the $8,000 still waiting for us to be retested together with other moving averages, as is 100 and 200 daily simple moving averages, which will be pretty strong battle over here. We need to break $8,000 in order for me to be bullish. If we break $8,000, find level of support on $8,000, I will be bullish, and maybe probably I will get into some trade, but until then I cannot say that, because we are still climbing on the way to the upside from this crash that we had, and unfortunately we are doing that in the form of the rising wedge formation, which is continuation pattern for the downside. Now, it doesn't mean that this pattern will play out, but we are still on daily chart, and those patterns are pretty good for those falls. So I'm not telling you that we are going to fall, or if we fall, we're going to fall all the way to the downside. I'm just telling you to be careful if you're trading these sort of patterns on the opposite way, because they have pretty good percentile chance to break on the downside. So one more bullish thing that we need to mention over here is RSI. On RSI we are still above level of 50, which is pretty good thing, but now it's important to actually stay above it. The only thing that concerns me over here is the volume. Volume is still decreasing. Even so, we discussed in yesterday's video about this triangle over here. We broke bullish, right? But why the volume volume is still low. This is something that is scaring me, or let's say excite me at the same time. Why am I saying this? Is because if the big move is yet to come, if it's going to be on the bullish side, then we could break $8,000 pretty easily. Now, if it's going to be on the bearish side, well, yeah, you understand what I mean. We're going to break the 20 exponential moving average and we're going to plunge a little bit further lower. I'm not saying that we're going back to $4,000. I never said that in the previous videos since we bottomed out over here, but we could visit again. I'm saying $5,000 or $5,500, and I have pretty good reasons why that could happen. Now listen up. Now we are switching over here onto the weekly chart, and I'm switching also to the 200 weekly simple moving average, which is one of the most important ones on the whole Bitcoin chart over here, which is daddy and mommy to the Bitcoin. In the previous rallies, Bitcoin had actually retested this level multiple times. We don't have the full history over here, but we did retest it, I think, over here and here. If we draw this line over here, so something like that, this is already, let's say, 4 times over here retested, because this is the big one. We need to count every single hit into this moving average, and now we did actually break it and went above it instantly, which means this moving average has pretty good power and buying power for us to push the Bitcoin price on the way to the upside. I told you before, we don't know how devastating this would be if the Bitcoin starts trading below this moving average. So for now, the reason why I think that we're going to reach $55 or $1,500 level of support, if the Bitcoin breaks those level of supports that we already discussed about, that's the reason why I think we could visit those prices, because the moving average is standing there and could give us good support and push us actually on the way to the upside, where we could reach maybe $15,000, $20,000 per one Bitcoin. And one of the reasons to back up this plan is actually halving that is coming in 36 days approximately, which will give us good steam on the way to the upside when the Bitcoin starts slowly get used to that inflation rate. I hope you enjoyed this video, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you like this sort of a technical analysis and the news that we are reading over here. Also, please don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and other social medias, because I'm uploading videos pretty much on daily basis there, so you can be updated whatever happens in the crypto space in general. I want to thank every single each last one of you for watching our videos, ladies and gentlemen. As and always, till the next episode, happy trading and goodbye.